The silent trading killer. What revenge trading does to a $10,000 account in 30 days. Let me start with something that nobody in the trading space wants to say out loud. Most traders don't blow up their accounts because they don't know enough. They blow up their accounts because they feel too much. Read that again, because it matters more than any strategy, any indicator, any back-tested system you'll ever find online. You can give two traders the exact same setup, the same entry point, the same stop loss, the same target, and one of them will grow their account. The other will destroy it within weeks. Same information, opposite results. The difference isn't skill, it isn't intelligence, it isn't even experience, it's identity. It's what happens inside the trader's mind the moment a trade goes wrong. It's the quiet, invisible moment where the professional trader says, "That's the cost of doing business," and the struggling trader says, "I need to get that back." That second trader, the one who needs to get it back, is about to meet the thing that kills more accounts than any bad strategy ever could. It's called revenge trading. And today, I want to walk you through exactly what it does, not in theory, not in abstract concepts, but in real dollars, real psychology, and real time across 30 days. If you've ever stared at a red position and felt your chest tighten, stay with me. This video is for you. Here's the thing about revenge trading that most people get completely wrong. They think it's about impulsivity. They think it's about people who just can't control themselves, reckless gamblers who have no business being near the markets. But that's not what's actually happening. The traders who revenge trade are often some of the most passionate, most disciplined people in the room. They study charts for hours. They genuinely care about their craft. They are not careless people. They are emotionally invested people. And that, paradoxically, is exactly the problem. When you care deeply about something, your brain starts to treat losses as threats, not inconveniences, not data points, threats. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between losing $300 in a trade and being chased by a predator. Both activate the same survival response, fight or flight. And in trading, fight looks like doubling down, jumping into the next trade without a plan, increasing position size, ignoring your own rules. You're not being reckless, you're being human. But the market doesn't care about your humanity. It only cares about your decisions. Here's what nobody tells you. Revenge trading isn't a strategy flaw. It's an identity crisis in real time. It's a trader who has secretly tied their self-worth to their P&L. Every loss isn't just money lost. It's proof that they aren't good enough. And the mind, desperate to protect the ego, scrambles to undo that proof. That scramble is where the real damage begins. Realization 1. The first loss is never the dangerous one. Let's build the picture together. It's day 3 of the month. You've done your analysis. You enter a trade. Clean setup. You've seen this pattern work a dozen times. The market moves against you. You exit at your stop loss just like your plan said. You're down $200. Now here's the fork in the road that nobody talks about. The old behavior, you immediately open another chart. Your eyes are scanning fast. You're telling yourself you just need to recoup. You're not really analyzing, you're searching. There's a restlessness in your chest that feels like urgency but is actually anxiety disguised as confidence. The new behavior, you close the laptop, you go for a walk, you write in your journal, stopped out for $200. Plan was followed. This is the cost of doing business. The psychology behind this is profound. The human brain has what psychologists call a loss aversion bias. Losing $200 activates almost twice the emotional pain as gaining $200 activates pleasure. We are hardwired to feel losses more intensely than wins. This means the moment you take a loss, you are not thinking clearly. You are in a mild emotional emergency. And the market, cold, indifferent, mathematical, is waiting for you to make your next decision from that emergency state. The goal of a successful trader is to make the best trades. Money is secondary. End quote. Think about that. When was the last time you made a trade with your goal being to make the best trade, rather than to make back what you lost? If that question stings a little, drop a comment below. Just type Day 3 if you've been at this fork in the road before. You'd be surprised how many traders are sitting in the same place right now. Realization 2. The second trade is where the account starts to die. You took the loss, you told yourself you'd be disciplined, but it's only been 45 minutes and you're already in another trade. This is the part nobody shows you in YouTube highlight reels. This second trade, the unplanned, emotionally driven re-entry, has a completely different energy than the first one. Your first trade had structure, a planned entry, a defined risk, a thought-out target. This trade has one purpose: to make you feel better. And that is one of the most dangerous reasons any human being has ever clicked a buy or sell button. The old behavior, you enter with twice your normal size because I need to make this back faster. You move your stop loss further away because I can't afford another stop out right now. You hold longer than your plan allows because it'll come back. The new behavior, if a trade isn't in your plan, it doesn't exist. Full stop. Here's the psychology behind position size creep, the quiet killer inside revenge trading. When we're emotionally activated, we engage in something called temporal discounting. We overvalue immediate relief and undervalue long-term consequence. Doubling your position size feels logical in the moment. It's a faster path to getting even. But it also doubles your exposure at the exact moment your judgment is at its worst. Think about that sentence. The moment your judgment is worst is the moment you risk the most. That's not a strategy. That's a disaster waiting to be scheduled. The most important thing is to have a method for staying with your winners and cutting your losers. If you don't have a method, no amount of capital will ever be enough. End quote. Here's a thought I want to leave you with. What if the most profitable thing you could do today is not trade at all? Realization 3. The tilt spiral. When one bad day becomes a terrible week. Now we're at the midpoint of our 30 days, and I want to show you something. In poker, there's a term called tilt. It describes what happens when a player takes a bad beat and begins making increasingly irrational decisions. Their bets get bigger, their patience disappears, their discipline evaporates. Trading has the same phenomenon. We just don't talk about it as openly. Here's what the tilt spiral looks like in a trading account. Day 5, $10,000 account. Planned risk per trade, $150. One bad trade, one revenge trade. Account, $9,400. Day 8, 2 more planned trades stopped out. One more revenge trade after each loss. Account, $8,600. Day 12, confidence is shaking. You start second-guessing entries you would have taken confidently 2 weeks ago. You miss one good setup because you hesitated. Then, frustrated at missing it, you chase the next one. Account, $7,900. Do you see what's happening? It's not one catastrophic decision. It's a slow accumulation of emotionally driven decisions, each one making the next one more likely. The old behavior, escalating risk to chase losses. The new behavior, a hard rule. After 2 consecutive stopped-out trades, trading is over for the day. No exceptions, not a guideline, a rule with no negotiation. The psychology here is something called the sunk cost fallacy. Our minds keep asking, What do I have to do to recover what I've already lost? But that question is a trap. The money that's gone is gone. Every new trade is a new decision. Your past losses are completely irrelevant to whether your next trade will be a winner. The professional trader knows this. They have internalized it. The struggling trader knows it intellectually but cannot live it emotionally because they haven't done the deeper work of separating their identity from their account balance. This is where it changes. Realization 4. The identity problem. Why you can't rules trade your way out of this. I want to get honest with you now. Really honest. Most trading educators will tell you the solution is rules. Better risk management, a journal, a checklist. And yes, those things matter. But they're treating the symptom. The root problem is this. If you believe on some level that a losing day means you are a loser, no rule will save you. You will find a way around every rule you set because the emotional pain underneath is more powerful than any checklist. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus was a mid-level accountant who got into trading during a period of genuine success. His first 3 months were exceptional. He was methodical, patient, careful. He built his account from $10,000 to $14,200. Then he had a bad week, drew down $1,800 in 4 days. Something shifted. He started waking up earlier to catch pre-market moves. He started holding trades longer just to avoid locking in a loss. He started checking his account balance at dinner, at bedtime, during lunch with his kids. The trades weren't just trades anymore. They were referendum votes on whether Marcus was smart, whether he was capable, whether his success in those first 3 months was real or just luck. By the end of the month, he was at $6,800. He had lost $3,400 in less than 4 weeks, more than he had made in 3 months of disciplined trading. When he eventually reflected on it, he told me something I've never forgotten. He said, "I wasn't trading the market, I was trading my own fear of being ordinary." Read that again slowly. He wasn't trading the market, he was trading his fear of being ordinary. How many of us are doing the same thing and don't even know it? If that sentence just hit you somewhere real, I want you to comment something for me. Comment, "I'm trading more than the market." Because recognizing that truth is the first step off the treadmill. Realization 5. What a $10,000 account actually looks like after 30 days of revenge trading. Let me show you the math because it's brutal and necessary. Average revenge trader profile. Takes 2 to 3 unplanned trades per week after a loss. Increases position size by 1.5x to 2x when emotional. Holds losing trades past their stop loss at least 40% of the time. Starting balance, $10,000. Week 1, 3 planned trades, 2 losses, 1 small win. 2 revenge trades, net minus $680. Balance, $9,320. Week 2, confidence decreasing. Risk per trade creeps up unconsciously. Held 1 losing trade past stop, 3 revenge trades, net minus $1,140. Balance, $8,180. Week 3, TILP is now embedded, missing setups through hesitation, taking setups outside the plan through desperation. Balance, $6,900. Week 4, 1 big swing to try to recover everything. Position 3x normal size. Trade goes the wrong way. Balance, $5,200. 30 days, $10,000 down to $5,200, a 48% drawdown. Not from bad analysis, not from a broken strategy, from a series of emotional decisions made in states of psychological distress. Now imagine the opposite. Same trader, same market conditions, same number of legitimate setups, but this time Every revenge trade is simply not taken. Every position size remains constant. Every day that starts poorly ends at the desk with the laptop closed. End of 30 days. Maybe 2 planned losing weeks, 1 break-even week, 1 winning week. Net minus $400. A $400 loss instead of a $4,800 loss. Same strategy, same market, different identity. It's not whether you're right or wrong that's important, but how much money you make when you're right and how much you lose when you're wrong, said George Soros. The professional trader doesn't win more often, they just lose so much less when they're losing. Realization 6. The shift that actually changes everything. Here's what nobody tells you about trading transformation. It doesn't happen at the chart. It happens somewhere quieter, in the moment between impulse and action. That small, almost imperceptible pause where you feel the urge to re-enter the market and you breathe instead. That pause is everything. It's the distance between who you were and who you're becoming. The old trader jumps at the signal of emotion. The new trader observes the emotion without obeying it. This isn't about being cold or robotic. Professional traders feel the same emotions you do. They feel the sting of a loss. They feel the pull toward revenge. But they've developed what psychologists call emotional regulation capacity, the ability to feel an emotion without being controlled by it. That capacity is not natural. It is trained, day by day, loss by loss, pause by pause. Imagine becoming a trader who sits in front of a screen after a painful loss and feels the emotional pull toward re-entry and simply says, "Not today." Not because they don't care, but because they care so much about the long game that the short-term impulse has lost its power. Imagine becoming that person, because that person exists and they're not born that way, they're built that way. The 31st day. I want to close the 30-day window with a story. This is about a trader I'll call Sarah. Sarah spent 4 months revenge trading. She started with $12,000. By month 4, she had $4,100. She had tried every solution, new strategies, different time frames, new brokers, new watch lists. Nothing worked, because none of those things addressed the real problem. One evening, after another brutal session that cost her $700, she didn't open the next chart. She opened a notebook instead. She wrote at the top, "What am I actually afraid of?" She sat with that question for a long time, and then she wrote, "I'm afraid that if I fail at this, it means I'm not smart enough to build the life I want, and if I'm not smart enough, then everything I've worked for is meaningless." She read that back and felt something shift. She wasn't trading for profit anymore. She had been trading for proof. The next morning, she set one rule, just one. Before any trade, she had to write down the setup, the reason for entry, the risk, the target, and one sentence about her emotional state. If the sentence mentioned getting back, or making up, or I need this, the trade didn't happen. She traded that way for 30 days. She made $1,200. Not life-changing money, not even close to recovering what she'd lost, but something far more important happened. For the first time in 4 months, she went to bed on a Friday night without checking her account balance, because the day's result didn't feel like a verdict on her worth as a human being. It was just a data point, an input, information to be learned from and moved on. Let me be direct with you now. You cannot outlearn revenge trading. You can't read one more book about technical analysis and solve it. You can't buy one more course and suddenly have the emotional architecture to sit still after a loss. This transformation is not about information. It's about identity. The trader you need to become doesn't ask, "What's the best setup right now?" after a loss. They ask, should I even be at this desk right now? And they're honest enough with themselves to answer truthfully. Here's the question I want you to sit with today, not just hear and forget. When you trade, who are you trying to prove something to? Not what strategy are you using, not what indicator do you trust. Who are you trying to prove something to? Your father who said you'd never make it? Yourself after years of feeling like you settle for less? The people who laughed when you said you wanted to trade full-time? That answer might be more important than anything on your chart. Because until you separate your self-worth from your account balance, every loss will feel like a referendum on your identity. And a person defending their identity will never trade objectively. It's neurologically impossible. The professional you are working toward has made peace with this. They know a loss doesn't mean they are a loss. They know a bad week doesn't mean a bad life. They have built an inner stability that doesn't move with the market. That stability is not talent, it's work. It's chosen, practiced, and earned. And you can earn it. We started this video with a simple, confrontational truth. Most traders don't fail because they don't know enough. They fail because they feel too much, too unexamined, too automatically. Revenge trading is not a strategy problem. It's a self-knowledge problem. And here's the thing I want to leave you with. The thing I most want you to carry out of this video and into whatever you face next week at that desk. You are closer than you think. The fact that you watched this video all the way through tells me something about you. You're not here for a tip. You're not here for a hot stock. You're here because something in you knows that the real work isn't on the chart. It's inside you. That awareness, just that, puts you ahead of most traders who will never even ask the question. You don't need a perfect system. You need a more honest relationship with yourself. You don't need to stop feeling. You need to stop letting feelings make unilateral decisions at the worst possible moments. Give yourself the same discipline you give your setups. Give your emotional state the same respect you give your technical analysis. And start building, one small pause at a time, the version of yourself who treats a loss like a professional, not a person under threat, but a person in process. Patience is not passive. It is the most aggressive act of self-belief there is. You're not waiting while others win. You're becoming someone different, and different takes time. Stay consistent, stay honest, and come back to your plan, not your pain, every single time. The key to trading success is emotional discipline. If intelligence were the key, there would be a lot more people making money trading. Victor Sperandel. If this video reached something real in you, if you've ever sat at that desk after a loss and felt the pull that we talked about today, I need you to do one thing before you close this tab. Subscribe. Not because I need the number, but because what we're building here is not a highlights reel. It's not a ticker tape of wins. This channel is a place for traders who are doing the real work, the internal work that most of the industry refuses to talk about. If you're one of those traders, you belong here, and I don't want you to lose the thread of this conversation. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications, because the next time you sit down at that desk after a painful loss, I want to be the voice in your head that says, pause, breathe. Is this your plan or your pain? And if today's video gave you something, share it, not for views, because somewhere in your circle there's another trader drowning in a drawdown that has nothing to do with their strategy and everything to do with what's happening inside them. Be the person who sends them this. See you in the next one.